What is going on out there, peeps? All right, there's a lot of news coming out of Iraq. We're going to get into that. Some of it pretty good. It seems to me, again, that Iraq continues to take some pretty good steps forward, including breaking an agreement with a country I was concerned about them doing business with. We'll get into that here in just a moment. You guys know if you're thinking about buying precious metals, go check out our friends over at Money Metals Exchange. The link is down below in the description. If you're a first-time buyer and you spend more than $100, use promo code Pimpy, P-I-M-P-Y, and get a free half ounce of silver. I want to encourage you to do so. The 28th is coming up pretty quick, and we're talking or hoping for a lot of stuff to happen. So for those of you looking for my address, here it is. Go ahead and pause it and write her down. And again, I want to encourage you guys to go check out Pimpy's news network. Go over there and hang with me because there's some great stuff that's being posted on there that we're not allowed to talk about on this particular platform. All right, there's some new stuff just came in, especially this one right here. You got to go hear what Michael Flynn's talking about. That's coming up here, and it's a huge threat. I want to encourage you guys to go check this out. Subscribers know what I'm talking about. The truth about what happened on November 3rd. That's what we're watching for. All right, so Saturday should be the big day is what we're being told. Saturday being that the Arizona audit should be complete. Come on over here and join us on Facebook group, Pimpy's Investment Chat, same name as the YouTube channel. Over here, we do talk about gold, silver, cryptocurrencies, as well as foreign currency investments. It's free to join, so come on over. All right, so there are some really big articles with a lot of information going on in there. Most of them pretty much say the same thing. So we'll go through them. It says Al-Qademi talks about raising the dollar exchange rate and its relationship with the poor. We know this. We spoke about it. I really didn't think they were going to do it, to be quite honest with you, which was devalue the dinar against the U.S. dollar. But he said it was necessary. It was necessary for them to accomplish the type of reforms they were needed to save his country. They were on the brink of a civil war, and then his administration got in. They've accomplished a lot in a very short period of time, considering there was a lot of outside forces trying to put obstacles in their way from being successful. His concern is there are a lot of outside forces that do not want Iraq to be successful. Because when they're corrupt, there's a lot of crap going on. There's a stealing of the money. There's the corruption in the bank and the auctions. You got countries stealing their oil. I mean, it's really bad. So a lot of great things have happened for Iraq since Al-Qademi's been in office. So I'm really happy for the Iraqi people. I do see in my comments from time to time people from Iraq chiming in. So for the most part, he kept the civil war from happening. Yes, the devaluing of the dinar affected the poor. And they were supposed to do things to counter the effect that it had on the poor. It says on here, Prime Minister Al-Qademi spoke about raising the dollar exchange rate and its relationship with the poor, noting that the raising the exchange rate in return, its relationship, or in return for placing $2.5 billion to support the poor segment, the social protection network, and support for food commodities. So they're seeing inflation happen. They're seeing the cost of food go up. They're supposed to do something to keep that from happening. But here's the good news about what happened. Al-Qademi accused during a televised interview with the official channel some who tried to change the numbers in the House of Representatives, noting that after Iraq depended on oil by 96%, in other words, 96% of the money generated to support the budget came from oil sales. But after the white papers, it's dropped down to 70% dependence. This is really a huge chunk. We want it down more. But from 96 down to 70% dependence on oil sale is a pretty big damn step if you ask me. So kudos to, again, Al-Qademi and his administration. It's not cool when you have to do things that hurt the poor. But unfortunately, you got to start somewhere. You want to say go after the rich, but these people are so corrupt and so powerful, it makes it a little tough. Go after them later on once the country's back together. So, according to the white papers that Al-Qademi has put out, this plan that they have should put Iraq back on track to be successful, to be back where they were within 5 years. Now, sooner if oil sales continue to stay where they are. We know a lot of the money went into starting projects that provided jobs, rebuilding infrastructure, hospitals, schools. It was necessary. More people off of welfare, more people off government aid, back to work, paying taxes. He said there was a ton of projects that had stalled, either due to poor planning or just flat out corruption. But a lot of other projects were started back up, and again, it's providing jobs. It's necessary. Al-Kadhimi said, I wasn't a prime minister. I was a servant of the people. So he's very humble. That's for sure. Now, it says the current government is facing a continuous campaign of skepticism, but we do not care about them and are keen not to create despair among people, but rather create hope for the better future. So they are suffering, I think, a little bit of what we're suffering over here. Is you got certain groups of people controlling certain parts of the media, and they're trying to control the narrative. So very, very interesting. Al-Kadhimi also touched on the election, stating that the elections are a popular demand, and the demand of rational reference, popular forces, and parties, and we have an election law and a federal court. And we have provided all support to the Electoral Commission. So they are ready for the election to come up here. He said one of the biggest disappointments and failures were the electricity situation. He said it wasn't satisfying and that it was very complicated. Billions of dollars were wasted on electricity, and their government revealed many suspended projects for reasons related to what I just talked about earlier. But the electric station they invested in, the electrical station in Samara, and within months, we will complete the second phase. So at least a big part of this project is finally getting completed, but we've been talking about this for damn near 2 years. So really good job for Al-Kadhimi. Again, they want to keep opening up and developing the private sectors so that they're not so reliant on oil revenue. We've talked about this before, and so it looks like they're doing a good job. Going from 90% reliant on petrodollars down to, 70% is a pretty big jump. But you can see over here, they're also talking about, look at this, how poor their hospital situation was. It said the government came and the government came and the situation of large numbers of hospitals were collapsing. Remember, in one unit where the coronavirus people were staying, the walls collapsed and stuff. At the time of great escalation of the corona pandemic and a scarcity of beds and medicine, and we only had 7 devices for PCR examinations. Today they have approximately 250 devices, as well as increased oxygen storage. The number of hospitals that were suffering from, look at it, they were all dilapidated. They were just falling apart. And it was all because of corruption. So now they're being rehabilitated, and it looks like they said, what is this? We have planned to build 43 hospitals throughout Iraq. Good. And schools, like I was talking about. Also, they were able to arrest 30,000 warrants against organized crime groups, uncontrolled weapons and drug groups. So go after them. Do your thing. Clean up that country. And that's what he done. So congrats to Al-Kadhimi and his government's time so far in office. The finance minister, the local market will recover soon. What he's talking about is the fact that inflation hit the market. Prices went up because of the change in the dollar exchange rate. And that it will recover soon. Okay. And it goes on to explain about, they're following the law. The budget was necessary. I should say the white papers were necessary to do the types of reforms that were needed in order to get Iraq back on track. So the only way it's going to be real successful is if they continue to follow the reforms. It's no good if one government gets in there, follows the reforms, and then the next government comes in and just ignores them. We've seen that happen here in the United States. We had a great economy. We had issues taken care of with illegal immigrants. And then a different administration comes in and changes everything, and now everything's a crap. So, again, it's only going to be successful as long as everybody follows it. So down over here it says the Finance Committee stressed the necessity of activating the petrodollar funds as stated in the budget text. Despite the government's submission of an appeal regarding this, and the matter does not prevent the tax from being activated because of its benefits to the oil-producing governments. In the meantime, the committee sent a letter to the Ministry of Finance in which explained Article 2, First Eighth regarding the petrodollar funds, indicating that the committee discussed the Ministry of Finance procedures regarding the job numbers and biometric systems of employees and its absolute necessity as indicated by the committee in the Article 12 law of the budget. Basically, they need the funds. So it goes on and on. But look, again, it says right here, the Ministry of Finance explained that the ministry is following up on the price hike in the markets that have accompanied the exchange rate change. Yeah, it caused the cost of food to go up. Again, if you're devaluing your currency, that means it takes more of your currency to buy less. The government source revealed that the date of the tripartite summit in Baghdad. So again, you have the same countries come together, which I believe is, Iraq, Jordan, and Egypt. And they talk about the same things, how the three countries can work together, bring balance, trade, security, the whole 9 yards. So yeah, that's always a good thing. You always want these countries working together. This goes on again to talk about the meeting that they had with the finance minister, Alawi. It's in great details. Again, it talks about up here the rate change and its effect. So we'll touch on it real quick. She said they raised the 7 axes of the Ministry of Finance, including the instability of the dollar exchange rate and its recent rise. Well, we saw what they did. They did something about it and were able to stabilize it. It's been stable ever since. As a matter of fact, it's actually going in the right direction. Small baby steps, but going in the right direction. The suffering of the citizens and the rise in the volume of random imports without relying on the import curriculum in order to import the goods that the country actually needs, as well as the percentage of complete reforms included in the white papers. So steps are being taken. We know that the rate change affected the poor. We talked about it before it even happened. So they're trying to do something to balance it. It says, for his part, the Ministry of Finance answered access raised and stated that the rise in the prices of commodities and raw materials was caused by their impact on the rise in prices on the international stock exchange, especially for iron, corn, and sugar, and to change the exchange rate as their rise was at the same time, which affected the market significantly. Yes, it did. We knew about this. So things like eggs and other things, poultry, agriculture, these types of things get affected. But again, these things are being imported to help. But you want to be an exporter, not an importer. So he said 35% of the reforms mentioned in the white papers are responsible for their implementation. And the ministry gives it a great importance because it has impacted on all economic activities and other revenues. So, again, at least they're taking the right steps necessary so that they can get the funds available to open up the private sectors and start doing less relying on the oil money, which they did. It's not a good thing, but again, it was necessary. Look, Iraq breaks an agreement with China company. Yes. We are a better position in making additional profits. This is a biggie. I liked it. Talk about taking a step forward. We're seeing what China's doing around the world. They're penetrating countries, giving them all kinds of loans. If you can't pay the loans back, then they basically just take over the important parts of your country, basically taking it over. And we're seeing resistance to that from other nations. So Iraq canceled its paid agreement. So basically they went into agreement anyways. It's for 1 year with the promise to do more, possibly. The 1 year's pretty much done. They shipped the oil that they promised. They got the loans that were necessary. But this is going to stop. There's no need to be with China anymore. And so they're canceling their agreements. I can't tell you how exciting that is for me to hear. I did not want China, the World Bank, or the IMF involved in what was going on with Iraq as well as Iran. So this is really good news. Again, they said that this wasn't necessary to continue this relationship with China because this agreement is not applicable at this stage due to the high oil prices. So see the rise in oil prices bailed Iraq's butt right out at the right time. So that's good to hear. We don't want them involved with China, the IMF, or the World Bank. Al-Kadhimi has done a great job since he's been in office. Still, it's all positive news. They're moving forward. They're doing it in small increments, but at least they are moving forward. Usually we get some good news, and then it goes back 10 steps. But that hasn't been the case now for damn near a couple of weeks. So it's looking really good. I know there's no magical, hey, the RIRV, but you never know. So just hang tight. For the most part, you guys, it's still positive news. This is good. Al-Kadhimi has done a great job. I really wish he would go again for another round of this elections because I think he's done a great job. But I don't live there in Iraq. I'm only looking from a different perspective. People in Iraq know better than we do. Anyways, that's it for now, man. Hit the thumbs up button. If you're not a subscriber, please do so because when you do, it helps out the channel. I surely do appreciate it. I'm out.